This unrated, adult-friendly podcast is brought to you by our good friends at Adult Video Warehouse. Your pleasure is important, and because of that, it's worth investing in. The sexperts at Adult Video Warehouse will have you feeling like a sex god or goddess in no time. Visit adultvideowarehouse.net in Pompano Beach and North Palm Beach.
I'm appalled at what you said on that pod thing. It's disgusting.
This is the After the Show podcast. It's where we get honest and real with yo ass. So sit back, relax, have a blast, 'cause it's time for the After the Show podcast.
Yeah, what is going on? Welcome to the KBJ After the Show podcast. Thank you for wherever you might be watching, either live or on demand. People already checking in. Shout out to Texas. Got some people checking us out in Tejas.
Texas.
I wonder what the percentage of people listening right now who are naked. You know what I mean? Do you think it's less than 10%?
Yeah, probably.
All right.
Well, it's probably right around there.
Okay. Yeah.
People working from home, decided not to put on clothes today.
It's kind of weird to think of, right? In a fun way.
It's sexy, though.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe they started with clothes on and had to take them off when they heard your voice, Bird.
We're talking to you, Engineer Keith.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, Engineer Keith coming around. I'll be dropping nickels.
Dropping nickels.
A lot of dropping nickel talk today.
Yeah.
That's going to be my new thing. I'm going to drop nickels for all of y'all.
I'm going to drop some nickels and I'm going to bend over and get them.
Yeah, we were talking about what we might be doing for our next TikTok video. We're on TikTok. We released our first video on Monday. We're going to try to do 3 a week to start off. So we got a couple ideas kicking around. Who knows? Maybe dropping nickels might make it.
Here's the thing, though. If it's head-to-head, I feel like I can take down the prodigy. If we throw Ralston's rump into the mix, none of us have a chance. Best ass in radio right
I
there.
want to do a montage. I'll bring the nickels, and then I want to get all of y'all back to back, montage style.
all day long, but I just lost the tournament to Ralston.
Whoa.
But
Ralston's rump.
I don't know.
I
So
mean-
what you do with it, man?
You're right. There is there's a theatric to it, but
Yeah.
that pumpkin booty.
It ain't what it used to be either, unfortunately. Yeah. It's not as popping as it used to be once upon a time.
don't sell your ass short.
Nah,
I am. I got to be realistic here.
that thing's
you know?
still a pumpkin booty. We still want to carve that thing out of Halloween time.
You do. Okay. Still might be the best on the show, but
it is.
it's not as good as it used to be.
We want to slap some whip topping on it and eat it at Thanksgiving. It's so pumpkin.
Okay.
She wants to go so far. She wants to make you uncomfortable, Kev.
Not
It's
there
not
yet,
enough
but you're
just to
getting
drop
closer.
nickels.
Yeah.
To full on sexually harass him.
So if you're on TikTok, make sure you go and follow us. Check out the KVJ show, and we need everybody, whatever platform you're on, to subscribe to the insanity that we have got going on there. Got some emails here. One from Tanya said, what happened to the KVJ draft? The best part was the draft, listening to you guys draw the cards, fighting over your picks, hearing how much thought went behind the picks. Now I feel less invested in everybody's picks. Please bring it back.
Uh-oh.
Well, we had tried something different. You know, we've got a coach that works with us, and we had a conversation, and one of his suggestions was maybe it takes a little too long to do the KVJ draft. And so you can speed it up by doing this little strategy.
This is a great example where it's coach versus the audience. The coach is giving us advice.
Well, the
you,
audience wins. I tell
Always.
everybody, the audience always wins. And so, you know, but you got to get, some more feedback on it, on what people like. So, and I let them know. I said, all right, because they're always about, you know, telling us, man, you guys take too long. You got to get there faster. It's just speed it up.
But sometimes it's the journey, not the destination.
I 110% agree. A lot of times, we had that critique even with the World Record Wednesday, and I would argue talking about it, strategizing as a team is some more of our fun moments about the bid.
Yeah, so it's nothing that was necessarily permanent. It was just something that we were trying out because we love getting the feedback on it. And if people are like, oh, cool, you know, you guys just pop right back in with what you chose, then that's good. But yeah, that was what was told in that conversation as we went through all the different segments we do, was that, yeah, that draft takes too long. You guys could speed it up by doing it this way.
I mean, Engineer Keith got his vote in. He likes the process.
We can speed everything up, Kevin. But then what do you have?
The one thing we
I hear
should
you,
speed
yeah.
up is the fucking dirt. If that's 3 times a fucking show. We don't we repeat it.
Listen, bitch.
All right, sorry.
Yeah, they had actually gone through. I'm excited coming up. We'll hopefully have some more insight into all the segments and some actual survey type numbers and whatnot to go into to see what we do. We're always trying to figure that out. I would like to have regular, sessions where we bring in some of our diehards to give us honest, cold water critiques of, hey, that's good, that sucks. Do it this way or try it that way. And maybe we can come up with different little techniques and ways to do all the stuff we do. Always trying to make it better.
People whose judgment seems like is sound. You know? Like really that put some thought into it and have some constructive criticism and a reason why. And here's what I like, here's what I don't, but here's why, and here's the reasoning behind it. I like to hear that.
Okay.
It's good to hear it, but you shouldn't be obsessed with it either because a lot of those things, man, you're not going to always get everyone's opinion. And I think it can sometimes fuck things up. Sometimes I think
it's tough.
I
Either
think
way,
those things are they're.
It's tough to know which direction to go because you'll have one person that loves it this way, another person that hates it, and vice versa.
It drives you mad, and when you're in a mad state like that, it's hard to be relaxed and fun because you're never going to know what's going to work.
Yeah.
As soon as you right now, I have no idea what I'm saying right now is going to work, but I'm saying it. Shut the fuck up, Jason.
Let me help you. Shut the fuck up.
But I'm being silly, but you never know what's going to work.
You don't. And then you start to get in your head.
Yeah.
And then you overthink what you're trying to do and make it better. And then you make it worse because you're just so in your head.
And I also think, too, when you ask somebody, what do you like, what do you not like, they now are going so deep. And I feel like they have to give you an answer, even if there's not an answer. And I don't know if that's accurate information.
Right. I don't want the answer if you have to come up with something and make up something.
And you'll never know that when you do those kind of things.
Well, the process is on a Facebook Live video that we have, so you can still see the process. We haven't taken that out. We just do it differently because the radio is a harsher judge because of the way they do the rating system, that things do have to be quicker, and all their studies show that people are punch happy. So,
but there's no proof that with our draft thing that the process was at all a punch
we don't know.
out. Yeah,
that was just a suggestion from our coach dude. And so I said, all right. And for me, I hold my ground on a lot of stuff with him. I mean, you guys are there for a lot of it. I'm like, I don't agree with that, and here's why, and no. So we don't have to do anything they say, but, when he gives a suggestion, it's like, okay, we'll try it. We'll see what the audience seems to say and see if it feels better. And if it does, then we'll make a permanent change. And if not, then we're going back to the way we did it.
I just know how sometimes things are because we've had these perceptions before, and I feel like they can fuck us up a little bit mentally.
Yeah.
That's why I don't like them.
Well,
I think we all have a good gut.
Yeah, they're tough because they can, you do have to always look at what you're doing and try to do the best version of it. And if you don't do anything, then you don't improve. And then you're just blindly thinking you're awesome. And little by little, you start to lose audience. And then next thing you know, oh, shit, I don't have a job.
I don't think anybody in this room blindly thinks they're awesome.
We don't.
Yeah.
And there's no proof of us losing audience. In fact, there's
Sure.
proof of us gaining an audience. So to me, what we're doing is the right thing.
Yeah, but I think it's just with anything. It's whatever you do in life, it's good to reflect on it.
It is.
And look back and say, okay, are there things I can do better and differently? So I think that process is smart to do. Now the question is just how do you do that process?
Yeah, and I also think, too, it's important if someone's critiquing your work and it's being judged and analyzed, I want to know how they're doing it, who is doing it, because when it comes to that stuff, and I'm not saying that's what's happening, people have an agenda always, and I want to know what goes into that study. I think that's fair. What's the process like?
So if you love or if you hate, you can let us know how we're doing the KVJ draft. And if enough people feel that way, then maybe we'll take it back to the way we used to do it. I think we only have really about another 4 weeks left of it right now anyway, as it is.
I mean, Kitten Beard Dan has a very good suggestion in the chat room. Can we change the dirt of the day to the dessert of the day?
Okay.
Now that's actually 3 times a show. Oh, Kevin, this is a great Boston cream pie.
I have to make 3 different rounds of dessert?
Yeah.
I love it, Kitten Beard.
You're going to be fat AF if we do 3 desserts of the
We
day.
do healthy ones for Kevin.
healthy dessert. Get out of here.
Fat-free whipped cream or some shit.
What at that point? What are we doing?
What are we doing?
Healthy dessert. You know what? Give me like Seasons 52 does it. Instead of a full-on dessert, they give you like a shot glass of a dessert, but it's still full-on delicious.
Yeah.
Give me that. Don't give me no fat-free whip topping. Get the fuck out of here.
Nothing annoys me more than fancy fuck desserts that are the size of a shot glass. Oh, what a pet peeve of mine. And then they charge you $30. Oh no, but it's smaller. You're getting a better deal. Fuck you.
Couple interesting gut feeling stories we got. One from Damaris. She was going through a drive-through and she just saw this dude get into his truck and she stopped short in the drive-through line. People are honking at her, flipping her off, and she just had this premonition like, I need to just stay still where I am. That guy wound up peeling out of the parking lot in his truck, and he plowed another abandoned car and drug it. And the guy was just, I guess, going through something. And she said, if I had moved up in the drive-through lane, he would have gone right through the path where I was.
Oh, my gosh.
Yeah.
That's huge.
Crazy. So there's just something about him. You can just see somebody, kind of like if you missed the story when I was coming into work today. First of all, when it's dark outside and it's 6 a.m. and somebody's standing in the middle of the road with their hands up above their head and you can see in one hand is a beer. And then you look in their eyes and you're like, okay, that person's not quite right.
The eyes tells a lot.
Well, what was crazy is my wife, he's right in the middle. And so she went into the other lane like she's going to go around him. And then he stepped in that lane. Seeing that.
That guy's got a death wish.
She did a psych, and then she started to move to the right, and he started to move into the front like he's not going to let us pass, like he's flagging us down. And she went through the grass and around him, and he tried to lunge at the car, and we're like...
He lunged?
Yeah, he was...
Okay,
like as the car went by, he tried to still get in front of it. It was unreal.
All of us have had somebody try to get in our car when we're trying to get to work. All of us.
It's crazy.
Yeah, he clearly wanted us to stop, and what he wanted to say, I have no idea, but there's no way it was going to be good.
No, whatever it was, you didn't want to hear it.
No.
Did you say this morning that you had someone try to get in your car twice now?
I've actually had 3 up-close, scary encounters.
Yeah.
And it's horrifying if you're not expecting it. One time I had my kids in the back seat. And it was a guy in a wheelchair. We were stopped at a red light, and he rolled up alongside of everybody's car, stopped at the red light, and he was trying to get change. But my car is up high. I have a Tahoe, so it's kind of higher than most of the other cars. So he couldn't see me eye level because he was in a wheelchair. So he just starts beating on the back door where my kids are. And I'm like, oh, hell no. F this light.
What was the other time?
The other time was the guy that wanted change and put his hands on my window.
Yeah, I had someone grab thank goodness my door handle was locked, but they grabbed it like they were trying to open my door.
Thank goodness it was locked.
Yeah, I know.
Because it's not locked all the time.
Well,
if you don't have one of those cars that automatically locks.
My foot's on the brake, so if he does anything to me, my car could have...
Scary stuff.
You're lucky, Ralston.
Yeah.
You're lucky.
I just want to find out what that guy's story was. I assume the cops were able to go over there and get him, and there's no way he's walking away without any kind of arrest.
Well, you called 911, and they said, yeah, we know.
We already got a call about him, yeah.
Well, he assaulted our sweet Denny's station wagon. 4 days ago, Denny saw the same guy, and he smacked his station wagon. To your description...
There's quite a few squirrely mofos that live in these bushes out here, because I see them coming out of the bushes with a big gulp going back into the racetrack.
Kevin described that guy. Our sweet Denny said that's him.
This guy was maybe only 100 or 200 yards from my house. So he was down in there. It was very close. And that is another kind of crazy, horrifying thing, that this guy was just walking up and down my neighborhood, walking up and down the streets.
Okay, that's different than right here by the racetrack.
I was thinking it was closer to the station.
No, I was saying, it was by the Bear Lakes, right there where the gate is going into that community.
Crazy.
That's super close to my house.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I could run there in about a minute and a half. So, yeah,
I'll see you there.
Close.
I'll see you there in 8 minutes.
I'm gonna walk. I'll see you there in 20.
Yeah.
Angela was talking about her near escape with death. She was on 95 riding motorcycles about 6 years ago, and we decided to take a ride up to Jupiter. And this time something didn't feel right. My husband kept looking back at me confused as to why I kept falling about 2 cars behind. I can't explain it, but I had a persistent voice in my head that kept repeating, keep your distance, keep your distance. And in the pit of my stomach, I could feel it.
What?
And when suddenly everyone ahead of us slammed on their brakes, as I followed in a state of panic, I accidentally locked my front brake and my back tire started to fishtail uncontrollably. I was 120 pounds at the time, and only God knows how I regained control of this bike and was able to stop between the 2 front cars in the double lane. To this day, I believe that somebody was watching out over me, because if I didn't keep my distance, I would not have had enough time to react.
Wow.
I would have crashed in the car in front of us.
Gut feelings, man.
That's crazy.
It's that kind of interesting phenomenon that, you know.
Yeah, we talked a little bit about it on Weird and Whatever
Yeah.
last night, and someone sent a great email about her, I believe it was her grandma or her grandmother's mother back in the day, olden times. Her and her husband were going to buy this house, and as they're walking up, she got a terrible feeling, started seeing, just said, do not buy this house. So she told her husband, said, we're not getting this house. He really wanted to buy it. It was the perfect house. And then I guess a year later, something happened. They end up buying another house on that street. Something happened down the street, and they go, what the fuck's going on down there? A missile or a bomb or something hit that house, and everybody died in there.
What?
And they were
Yeah.
about to buy that house, and her gut feeling said, no, we're not doing it. I feel something here.
Yeah, these are the kind of things where, is that just an ingrained human sense that we have? Animals have to have it for survival. Do we have that? Is there something of a different realm that just, if you're in tune, that kind of lets you know what's going on? It's those kind of coincidences that are really kind of crazy. I think I told you the story when I was just a reckless asshole teenager. I was out one night and my mom woke up and she just felt this thing where she's like, I need to pray for my son. And she has a prayer journal, so she'll write down things about what she prays for in whatever time. She wrote that down, and when I finally got home, I was actually being arrested at the time.
Whoa.
I almost did something really dumb that could have cost a bad injury. The time she wrote in her prayer journal was the exact same time they put on the booking report.
Wow.
Yeah, man.
So,
That's cool.
What it is that, it aligns with like 2:08 a.m., something like that. So what is that kind of premonition or whatever you have? Is it of a spiritual nature? Is it just an instinctual thing that we have as humans?
Yeah, you hear stories of people waking in the middle of the night with just a weird feeling to find out somebody across the country died or is in the hospital. It's like they know.
I think sometimes it is, vibrations from the spirit world. And some people are more in tune with it than others. And I think that, if you quiet yourself down and you really try, you can be actually more in tune with it. But it does require you to actually quiet down the stress level, quiet down the crazy level,
Big time.
or nerve level, whatever you've got going on in your head. If all that is noise, you can't hear the
Can't hear it.
vibrations from the spirit world.
Yeah, Engineer Keith, and I disagree with him on this. He says, I think it's just varying levels of empathy. We can pick up on subtle cues without being too aware. And I know what he's saying on that. I'm talking about something different where a gut feeling is telling you not to go to this or to start a car or to take that trip. That's what I'm talking about. I feel like that is spirit of some sort.
Well, for me, growing up in the church like I have, there's been a laundry list of really weird stories that people will have about odd things, that have happened where you're like, how did that coincidence just seem to happen? And every faith seems to have their own thing. In a lot of Asian cultures, they will meditate. They'll do those kind of things to what your point, Virginia, getting calm, getting quiet, whatever that voice is. In Christianity, they'll call it the Holy Spirit, where it's, you're just hearing things and it kind of gets a hold of you and it guides you in some kind of way. But you got to be quiet to be able to do that. And then just some of these odd coincidences that you're like, okay, how do you explain something like that? That you're going to do. And there's, like I said, in my church and just in my faith, there's a ton of stories. There was one where the church didn't have any money to get these chairs that they needed. And so they ordered, and the chairs were $10,000, and they did it on faith that God was going to provide because they just felt that God had told them that it's going to be there. It's going to be taken care of. And they came to get the pastor and they said, hey, the delivery guy's in the front, and he didn't have a penny to pay to the $10,000. And he's walking out to be like, oh man, what a heel I am. Somebody walked up to him and said, I just felt God told me I need to write this check to you. And I don't know what it's about. And it was for exactly $10,000. And so there's, those kind of odd little coincidences where you're like, okay, was that just the luckiest day I've ever had in my life? Or are there other things out there that steer and guide? And either people believe it or think there's something there, or you don't. And you're entitled to however you feel.
I'm looking at some of the comments. Some people believe it, and some people are like,
damn, people calling bullshit on your chair story.
they're calling bullshit. I mean, I get called out. I read an email from somebody.
Well, what is the bullshit about it? Did it not happen, or is it just it's a coincidence?
Some of the comments is, oh, we're talking magic again.
Maybe it is magic.
Maybe it is magic.
Did you see the chair transaction go down and the dude walk up with the $10,000 check?
Yeah.
I'll bring him in. Like I said, it's a story I heard. I could bring him in, have him tell it.
I love it.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think people believe your story. I get called out for being a liar sometimes with my ghost shit. So, yeah, but I would say our audience is at 70-30 believes in spirit ghost stuff.
Yeah, to me, the question is, what is it that's driving all that? Is it just the power of coincidence?
Yeah.
That is doing this, or is there something else that kind of controls and pulls the strings or helps us out?
Is it the hand of God? Is it your ancestors that have passed on that are guiding you as guardian angels?
Like I said, every culture pretty much has their own belief as to what some of these things might be.
And I think as humans, we get caught up with definitions and what this means. And you say God, and as soon as you say God, some people just automatically, oh, God. But don't get caught up with the definition. Clearly,
don't label it.
Something invisible is working here. Every morning we wake up, the sun's there, the ocean's working. I get there's definitions behind that,
right?
But something's driving that.
It's tough for us without any kind of proof to label it. And it's just okay. Well, then what explains these stories?
Yeah,
and that's pretty much what the question is.
I like getting deep with you, Ralston. I like getting in there.
He's going to get deep with you. I'm going to throw some nickels on the ground. We're a good combination.
Nickels.
Weird whatever. I'd love to have you for a pop-in again.
Oh, yeah. I'd love to do that.
Yeah,
anytime. You tell me. Would you know, how far in advance do you know what you're going to talk about?
I usually I start working on stuff around Monday.
Okay.
So I can let you know.
Yeah.
Or if you have a topic, I'll fucking bring it on in.
I just might steamroll the whole thing, man. You get me in there, get me deep. I don't know if you can handle that.
Bring that guy with the chair story.
That's a good podcast to do the chair story on. We got a lot of cynics on this podcast.
Yeah, I don't know if this guy would be too down with like some of the swears, so he's a little more old school.
All right, dude, sit down and tell us your bullshit story.
Maybe I could have him record it and then I'll bring it in. I just told the story.
No, on the other podcast.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
But I want to hear him tell it. So, yeah, have him pre-record his story.
Okay.
And that way you won't hear anybody calling it bullshit.
We don't swear that much on that podcast.
Okay.
That's probably 4 fucks per podcast.
That'd probably be about 4 too many for this dude.
You, Denny's. Who are the other 2 fucks? Beckett.
Vicky and Birdney. It's 5 fucks.
They're not fucks. I like them.
I know.
Big thanks to Adult Video Warehouse for today's KVJ After the Show podcast. Those sexperts there are ready to have you feeling like a sex god or goddess in no time. Just go to adultvideowarehouse.net in Pompano Beach and North Palm. This is an email we need Denny's assistance on here from Christy.
Denny's!
She's asking about Delta 8.
What's that?
Delta 8 is a legal CBD that has similar properties to regular marijuana. Delta 8, the legal CBD, she wants to know. It's legal by some sort of loophole. So I'm curious, Denny's thoughts. I bought the dropper and I took it. Mind you, I'm a 36-year-old mom of an 11 and 13-year-old in the suburbs in Wisconsin. I hadn't dabbled in marijuana of any sort in 18 years. And I took a small amount. It didn't seem to work, so I took a little more. Well, I should have, because about 90 minutes in, I was laughing to the point that there were tears in my eyes running down my cheeks. I couldn't control my laughter, and I thought everything was funny. It felt exactly like the real thing, just a bit more mild. I'm wondering if Kevin would like it. I will say that it might not feel like it's doing anything, but just to wait, because I took too much. My family thought I was crazy because nobody knew that I had done it. That's funny.
They say the same thing about pot brownies. Wait a little bit. Just see if they kick in.
Yeah,
Yes.
I
6 a
normally,
minute.
like in college, I remember when I'd have weed, I would just giggle. I just laugh the entire time. So it was always
Sounds
fun
horrible,
for me.
doesn't it? It's like,
Yeah.
what a terrible time.
Yeah. Patty Meld in the chat room, she's saying Delta 8 is crap. So what do you think, Denny's, about this Delta 8? Do you know anything about it?
Yeah, so they I think Delta 9 is THC is the regular, and this is I think it's THC derived from hemp. So as
Okay.
they've been processing hemp, they make there's a threshold at which there can be amount of THC in something where it doesn't make you daffy or goofy and stuff.
Okay.
And so some of the legal CBDs will actually, if you look, it'll say it contains trace amounts of THC, just not enough to be illegal.
Okay.
So the Delta 8, I think, is what they're extracting from the hemp plants. And it's a milder euphoria. They say it's better if you're not a pot smoker or anyone that's dabbled in it, because it gives you waves of euphoria.
These tear thingies, these eye drops.
So the drops, anything you ingest like that, I remember because when I hit the dispensary, they were really pushing the tinctures, which you just put some drops in your water. And you can get it with CBD, where it has none of the hallucinogenic or psychedelic effects. And then you can get it where it does. It has like the high
Weed
THC.
water, Kevin.
Okay.
Yeah, you can dose it, 1 to 5 drops depending on what you're looking to do. But if you do 5 drops, you will get high.
Buckle up, bitch.
Yeah, it does, because it hits you differently, because it's you have to ingest it. I would definitely experiment low, like the
work your way up.
Work your way up.
I just remember the time that you did smoke in Oregon. It's the only time I ever smoked with Kevin, I
Yeah.
believe. And I just remember it was like 8 hours later, and he texted me, going, "Hey, man, I'm still high."
Yeah, I was
And
in
I
South
don't want
Florida.
to be.
I come cross country. I was still stoned.
I'm done with this buzz, but it's not done with me.
That's what was crazy. Yeah, 2 hits is all it took.
But you don't smoke, so those are two
Right.
big hits
Sure.
of good Oregon
Oh,
weed.
yeah,
you
it's
were
better.
at, what-
Yeah.
where we were
Wiz
at.
Khalifa's DJ gave it to
Yeah.
you.
Yeah, you had some good weed.
Washington
and for a
State.
guy who had bitch ass lungs.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I told you. I mean, if it's cheaper than vodka, and if I can get the right amount, as soon as they legalize it and it's just easy to do and it's convenient, I would easily switch over to doing the weed stuff. Probably like a gummy or something like that, right?
If you do
Is that
small
what I do?
doses,
Yeah.
the cool thing about pot is it wears off and you're back to normal. It really is the greatest, because you drink alcohol all day. At the end of the
Yeah.
night, you're crashing. You're falling
Well,
asleep.
for me, because I got this whole thing now where it's like really I've been studying into the inflammation. That's the thing Tom Brady's really into. I do
Yes.
at my Revitalize. They have the NAD therapy that reduces inflammation. I do turmeric.
It's
I
called
tried-
NAD.
Yeah, NAD therapy. At first, I'm like, what are you doing to my nads? And so I'm really big on that the more I look into it, because just anxiety, stress, pressure, and all that kind of stuff. And so whenever I do a show, I go home and I'm a little clanked. I'm like, gosh, I got to get rid of the stress. So a little something after a show, I just want to not be, your shoulders feel tight, all that
Right,
stuff.
right.
I got all that, like I just need that, and I can't release it, I'll breathe and all that stuff, and it's just not enough.
He
still
needs
like,
2 drops.
yeah, I'd say go
so
tinctures.
that's what I would do after every show. I would just do a couple of those just to knock out that feeling of tightness, and then let me go about my day.
Our
Yeah.
boy is so high curious.
Oh,
Yes.
I'm high loving. Yeah, that would be my routine every single day. I would go home and I would do that. But I still want to be functional because I still have work to do. I just don't
Yeah.
want to be that kind of
Go low THC, yeah.
You may
Yeah.
find yourself coming up with some really weird shit for the show.
good.
You can portion out the level of CBD you want for the inflammation, and then
Yeah.
like something to take some of those extremity thoughts away. I would do like a low level 4 or something out of
You
10.
might find yourself thinking, name that nut's actually funny.
Then you've done too many drops.
If I come in and that's greenlit, can you imagine how the show would change? Be like, going, wow. And it would be like everybody talk about the show before pot and after pot. with
Out
Kevin.
years with Kevin.
Yeah. I remember how the show used to be, and now listen to it. Listen to where KVJ is just this weird turn that they took all of a sudden.
I like to see where that goes.
But
Podcast.
the Delta 8, some states, I mean, anywhere that's got medical, you can get it at the local dispensaries here. Some of the head shops sell it in some of the areas where, I mean, it's one of those things where I'm sure they're going to make it 100% medical. It's just not quite yet because it's derived from the hemp.
Yeah, I keep looking at stuff because to me and the medical, and I get you can do that. To me, that's still a little bit of a to-do and jumping through a few hoops. Maybe one day I'll jump on that, but I'm really kind of hoping that Florida turns the corner and does the recreational one soon, but who knows?
New York's a huge advocate. I mean, they just switched over to recreational, and a lot of people come from New York down here. I'd only imagine that it's going to slowly.
Well, if they start voting that way too, and the other thing I thought was interesting was when Virginia did it, because you kind of start getting into. They've got a little bit of that, Bible Belt mentality in Virginia, and I think that's a big part of Florida's problem is the northern Bible Belt kind of mindset.
The panhandle F's everything up.
Yeah. Where they'll do other really despicable things, but for some reason weed is the worst thing ever.
It's insane.
Yeah,
what the fuck is going on out
You'd be
here?
a terrible human in other ways, but at least I don't do that damn devil lettuce.
Yeah, which they'd probably be cooler if they did.
Yeah, they would.
But, this story, and I don't know what this is going to mean, but I did see today, they say the legalization of recreational marijuana is linked to a rise in deadly car accidents. They found that legalization of recreational cannabis may be associated with a small but significant increase in fatal motor vehicle collisions and fatalities. So there's some lobby group that is planting those kind of stories out there for one reason or the other. And how much validity is going to be in that? How much traction will that story that I see today take root for anybody who's like going, see, I told you, as soon as we legalize it, people are going to start running into each other.
Joe Rogan had a big fight on his show about this, and he's a big pothead. I don't know if you guys know that or not. And his crew seemed to have debunked it, but the other guy's crew seemed to say, no, this is... So I think, again, it's politicized.
It is, that's one of the fights.
You're never going to get it.
That's one of the fights, and the northern Floridians are going to use that to be like, well, look at this story. Everybody's running into each other.
If you know anything that is going to be where it gets anybody emotional, it's going to become politicized now. Just know that. It could be anything. They're going to find a way to pit groups together.
It's a fun time to be alive.
Well, it's all about money. That's the only green they give a fuck about.
And I bet you big pharmaceutical companies don't want the pot.
They probably
because
lobby
they
against
want you
it.
to be on the pills.
They want to take the pot over. They want to be the ones that...
Yeah, they want to be the ones that are providing it, taking it away from the local people. But I guess if you just treat it like any other medication, anything else in the world, it impairs, you're not supposed to operate heavy machinery. Just treat it like that. It's the same way with prescription pills.
It's like anything. You don't have to go over the top with it.
And you don't have to do it and then jump in a car and drive.
Well, don't. Yeah. That you're not supposed to.
Treat it like any other medication that you're using.
Yeah, that's exactly. That's how I would do it and use it. And, I'm not going to any more frat parties. So.
Well, you're not even supposed to drive if you're on Benadryl. I mean, Benadryl.
Yeah, it's got a warning on it.
When I take a Benadryl, and I don't like it, it's only if I have like a hive breakout or something. I don't. If I had to drive on that, I would be fucking dead. There's no way.
Yeah, it's freaky.
Even something like that, you're not supposed to drive if you're altered in any shape.
Right.
Yeah.
That's true.
Preach on.
See where it goes.
I hate Benadryl for the record.
I will never take it. I have the worst allergies ever. I'll never take it.
I always say that, and then I'll have an allergy attack. I'm like, oh, I'll take the Benadryl.
Well, it works. They put you to bed.
Freaking, it does not. Half of me goes to sleep. Half of me wants to run a marathon. Well, maybe not run a marathon. But.
Doug here is explaining why back in Civil War, Revolutionary War times, armies used to just march in lines towards each other. And he said, I heard you wondering why in the First World War the armies marched straight into the opponent's defense. And I think we were talking about that yesterday. I was listening to that, what is it? It was a history podcast I was really into about a year and a half ago. I have to look it up. But I listened to the whole series on World War I. It was pretty fascinating where they were transitioning to more modernized warfare. In fact, they weren't wearing helmets and things like that at the time. They wore fashionable berets, which they realized weren't stopping bullets.
What a shitty way to do war.
Wait, this little fuzzy beret is not smart?
Yeah. And let's stand in a line together.
Or if you had to be the drummer or the flag carrier.
Yes. Oh, that guy's fucked.
What are you going to do? Block a bullet with your drumstick?
No, you get shot.
Yeah, they said they were wearing like white gloves into battle, and they're like, all right, we got to start rethinking this thing. And that's when war really became brutal and nasty. It was Dan Carlin's Hardcore History. There's a series that he had done. It's a long listen. It'll take you all through World War I, but it's fascinating stuff. And so he's saying it was a practice that began with the old flintlocks that were not very accurate. They shot round balls out of a smooth barrel and had a 50% accuracy.
50%.
A soldier had a good chance of surviving the first blast that he had. Then he had to face the bayonet charge that came after. Their war tactics were based on Napoleon and for a time leading up to the war and the wars in Europe that were fought between a vastly superior army and a weak one and were usually over quickly. So, let me get through this. Instead of learning from the Europeans' dismiss the carnage of the Civil War. Yeah, that's basically what you'll get in the other one. So it took them a little while. There was a few battles that happened in World War I with the advanced machinery, and then they realized, oh, shit, this ain't working.
Could you imagine walking and get hit by a cannonball?
No.
Well,
geez.
like I said, they were marching
You're
like
done.
that, and they had the machine guns. And I think it was in France one day, they mowed down 75,000 dudes.
Yeah.
75,000. Can you imagine? I mean, we talk about pandemics and all that kind of stuff. Can you imagine if we had a death count of 75,000 in one day?
I know.
One afternoon, and then they did it again the next day. So they're like,
insane.
we're losing a lot of people here.
We got to figure this out.
Well,
Yeah.
the old style, I think they used to march, it was called a phalanx, where you had the first set of people were essentially just to be killed so the next set could step over them.
Yeah,
and they
right.
would continually work their way up until, and they just had so many people, they would just do that. And then when they came over to the Americas and they fought the Native Americans, they kicked their ass because they were coming from all directions and they
Right.
didn't follow this weird procedural military formation.
Yeah, they
so
changed
it's so
things.
weird.
Well, the Romans used to have a
Yeah.
setup like that, and then I think in Vietnam it changed how we did a lot of stuff.
I mean, that
too.
changed
Oh,
everything.
man, I told you about that documentary I watched on Christmas. It was at Vietnam. It was 8 hours of Vietnam.
Why the hell did you watch that on Christmas? Why don't you watch A Christmas Story like everybody else?
It was so depressing, but interesting at the same
Yes.
time. And they
Right.
said they worked together so well, where the Americans would come in, destroy stuff during the day,
Yeah.
and overnight they would rebuild bridges.
Bridges.
They was like, "Fuck this! We're building this bridge over again." And the Americans would be
Damn.
like, "What just happened? We blew that up. What happened?"
Right.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
New
they
bridge,
realized-
who dis?
Yeah. I mean, that's.
Well, they used to do the bungee pits where they dig the hole and then they would take pig feces and rub them on the spikes. So when the American soldiers would fall, they'd fall in these spike pits and they would immediately get infected.
Oh, damn.
It was part of the
Pig
crazy.
turds.
Yes.
Wow, that's diabolical.
Diabolical.
Yeah.
They poisoned the weed crops. So when the Americans were smoking weed, they would get poisoned.
Oh,
Damn,
wow.
waste of weed, dog. There was always
That
that.
would get Denny's.
No, I would
They always
I would
had
have been
that-
out.
when you-
How did Denny's die in Vietnam?
He wasn't shot.
What a hero. Give him a green heart.
Yes.
How Denny's dies in Vietnam. Yeah, so fascinating stuff. Appreciate it. Also, a couple quick shout outs here. We got one from Bailey. She travels from Delray to West Boca every day. And so she said she has plenty of times to hang out with you guys. My kids are in the car for at least half my trip. So, you listen to the KVJ show too often when you ask your 5-year-old son to put something on TV hours after KVJ time, and he presses the voice command button on the remote and says, Alexa, play the KVJ show.
Gotta love it.
That kid's awesome and deserves a cookie.
Part of me was so proud, then I started to question what I'm letting my kid listen to.
He'll be fine.
Yeah.
My kids live it. They're fine.
Yeah, I was just hoping he didn't hear the bit about the dad doing cocaine with his daughter.
That's a rough one.
I can think of way rougher segments we've
Yeah,
done.
it's true. And Jess and Julia from Allentown want to do a shout out to Maddie. She is going in for a surgery today. And that is about her getting her second cochlear implant. She had her first one 8 months ago.
That's cool.
And she said, we can't talk shit anymore in whispers because Maddie can fucking hear now. So
Good for you,
That's
Maddie.
awesome.
can you do a quick chant for Maddie?
Maddie, Maddie.
Maddie. So
And her
there you
doctor,
go.
and her doctor, and her
Yes.
doctor.
Very nice. So hopefully get to hear that before you go in for your surgery today, Maddie. Best to you and everybody there in Allentown. You guys have an amazing day. We got one more day left of the weekend, bitches.
Whoop, whoop.
We're back then. We'll see y'all.
This unrated, adult-friendly podcast is brought to you by our good friends at Adult Video Warehouse. Adult Video Warehouse has been the most trusted source for sexual health and wellness products in South Florida for over 20 years. Check out their beautiful remodeled stores in Pompano Beach and North Palm Beach. AdultVideoWarehouse.net.